What we need to do right now is to load our workbook. And in order for us to load our workbook, we just need to actually declare a variable that can be reusable. So we are just going to call the openpyxl that we install. That's say openpyxl, then .load workbook. Okay, then now we need to pass in where our workbook can be found, like where we can locate it. Now is in this very directory so that it's easy for us to actually navigate. That was why I brought it into this directory. So quickly, we just need to reference the file in the folder. So don't remember to actually have it as a string. Okay, so you can just have deals. As you can see, it already predicted it for us. So now that we have our workbook opened, the next thing we want to do actually is to select the sheets. If you remember how the Word document, if you remember how the Excel works, you have sheet 1, you have sheet 2, you can name it anything. But in this case, we will be working with the sheet 1. So to work with the sheet 1, we need to tell Python that we want the sheet 1. So we just need to declare a variable again, which is the sheet. Then we just want to grab the WB, then target sheet 1. Sheet 1. Okay, so what we've done right here is to say that we've targeted sheet 1. Okay, so which makes a lot of sense for us. So the next thing we want to do is which of the row do we want to actually, the column that we want to target, right? So for us to target the column, we need, so this is actually what we're looking for. We want to start from the second row because this is the date, and we actually want to target this last row. So that's what we'll be doing right now. Okay, so to do that, so we can just actually leave a comment, target row and column. Okay, so for us to do this, what we need to do right now is to actually declare another variable, which is, we can call it last column. Make it, okay, that should be T, last call. Then we just give a space. Then remember, we just reference this our first sheet. Okay, then when we say the first sheet, then we want the max column, right? That's the last, the highest column. So we just need to say max column. Okay, so what we've done right here is to target the last column, which is this, or this, for the first sheet. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to actually specify the cell that we want. Okay. Okay, so we've targeted this, right? What's left now is we need to target this very row. Okay, so if the way it's being indexed is start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and downward. But we want to reference from this very row. Okay, so the way we can do that is called latest. So let's declare another variable to store that in, which is latest month. We can just say latest month. Okay. I need to delete the S there. Latest month equals to, then we reference our sheet. We call the sheet. Then what we need now is the cell. Okay. Then we pass in our parameters. So remember, we need the row 1, okay, which is where the first name starts from. Need the row 1, row equals to 1. All right, so the column, we need the last column. Okay, so we just say column equals to the last call, which is what this variable. So we're saying row should start from the name, right? Then we want the last column. So that's basically what we've done here. Then after we do all of this, we want to actually, so we want the value. So we'll just say dot value and give space so that we can see clearly. All right, so right now we've been able to open our Excel spreadsheet, okay? So we opened the first sheet, then we targeted the last column, then we passed the last column and the row, all the rows from the first row into the last month. Now what we need to do is to actually declare a for loop to loop through all the sheets and loop all the sheets and get all the values for us. Okay, so we want to declare it in form of a dictionary, okay, so that we can get each members with their name and email address and the payment status. So let's just declare unpaid member, unpaid member. Okay, so let's just a blank dictionary, an empty dictionary. So the next thing we want to do is to run a loop on the spreadsheet so that we can actually print or use each of the persons that are yet to pay. So let me show you what I mean. We want to loop through all this list and just grab all the people who have empty cell here. Okay, so to do that, we need our for loop, and we're just going to say we can say for r in the range. So we're going to check the range. We're just going to check the range starting from 2. Remember, we're starting from 2. Then the sheets, so we want to actually run it through the max row, not column, max row. Then we add +1. Okay. So basically what this is doing is it's going to check through all the names in the range of the total length of the number of members on the row. Then it's going to add 1 to it. Remember, the way the range works is actually going to reference the second to the last number. So if you're saying the range of 5, the loop will stop running from 4. So adding this +1 will just make it the actual number that you want it to run. Okay, so once you have this, the next thing we want to do is to grab the cell and also the column. Okay, so for us to actually get a sense of what is going on, we can actually first store whatever value we get in a variable, then quickly just print the variable. So what we can do is call payment variable. Okay, so we can just say sheet. Then we need to target the cell. Then pass in the parameter of remember the row. So the row is going to be equals to this r, the index of our loop. Then we need to check on the column. The column will be equals to the last column, so the last column is actually what we are targeting. Okay, still dot value. So we want to check the value. So the quick way to actually look at this, the value, then let's just print payment. Let's print payment. So let's see what we get if we run our code. So I'm just going to right click and run. Okay, so something is wrong. So it's saying worksheet sheet 1 does not exist. Okay, so it's saying sheet 1 does not exist. Basically, I think is case sensitive. So let's just have capital S there and let's check it again. All right. So you can quickly see that it's printing the value from each of those rows. So you can see the first person, which is Matthew, is none. Okay, the second person too should be none. The third person, paid. And as you can see that we can actually grab this set of people. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, now that we are sure of what we have, okay, so we can quickly just do an if statement. So just check if it is none, do a particular thing. Then if it's paid, then we can just ignore. Okay, so we can just quickly say that if payment is not equals to paid, okay, then we want to do something. So we need name. So these are the things that we need. We need name, we need email, then we want to actually now store whatever value we get in this dictionary. So we can just say unpaid member dot name. I mean, just put that in the dictionary. So we can just say name equals to email. So what we're doing right here is we're actually declaring our dictionary. So for us to get the name, what we need to do right now is to get the reference, the sheet again, just like what we did here. We'll say sheet.cell. Then we pass in our parameter. We just say row equals to R. Then we say column equals to, so let's check the column. The column should be, the name should be 1, which is the first column. Column equals to 1. Don't forget to add dot value. Okay, so the next is, we can copy this as well, just have it here. What we just need to change here is the column 2, which is for the email. Okay, so dot value. So if we bring our print function again, we just say print unpaid member. So let's just run it and see. So you can see the dictionary. You'd have the name, which is Matthew. Then you have the email. You have the name, which is Matthew again. So we have this repeating itself because we have this our print function inside of this very loop. How about we just take this out? We just take this out like this. So we are not supposed to have this here. I'm not using JavaScript. Okay. So we can just run it again. So you can see we just have one of it. So you have Matthew is here to pay, Mustafa is here to pay, Uche is here to pay, Noah is here to pay. So we have, now we've grabbed their name and email. We've been able to actually identify their name and email. So the next task really, now that we know that in our dictionary, which is this, we have the names of those who are here to pay. So just with 6 lines of code, we've been able to identify those who are here to pay. Then the next thing is we need to log in into our email. Then when we log in into our email, we actually send the email.